All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Jack, Tanner, and Kaylin. Today, it is January 10th, and your Michigan Wolverines are the 2024 national champions.
It's fucking incredible. You know what? I'm going to say something real quick. I think it's very annoying. Sorry to bust the hype here, but it says 2024 on the playoff. All the gear says 2024, but then some gear says 2023 national champions. I just don't know how to keep track of this.
It's got to be 2024. We're in the year 2024. By the way, I just have to give myself a little props. My hat game on the last 3 pods have been incredible.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely incredible. This one, UM 2024. So I do have just a little something I want to do here. Before we get started.
Oh, yeah, baby.
You're so
cigar
cool,
for the audio listeners.
The smoke is beautiful. I wish you had a cowboy hat on though.
I do need a cowboy hat.
Can we all go get cowboy hats?
We all just go get Stetson.
Valiant needs to come up with some cowboy hats with that same logo that you've got on your hat right now, Justin, but a cowboy hat version. That would sell.
Oh my God, you're actually very right. We need to do that. I'm smoking a stogie just straight up in my house right now. Just zero fun.
Yeah, I rent right now, so I don't know if that would go over well. Smoke alarms, all those sorts of things.
Worth it.
But hey, guys, I just realized actually, I have on the wrong hat. You know what? This is the Rose Bowl champs hat. I can't keep track of all this. Sorry.
Oh my God.
See, this one says 2023 champs because it's a 2023 season, I guess. I don't know. I also thought it was confusing. For those listening on audio, I had to switch hats. I got my Rose Bowl champs hat and my national championship hat mixed up. There's just too many.
Well, it's a lot.
So many people
Big
wish they
Ten
had
championship hat too. There's just too many to keep track of.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan won 2 bowl games.
A successful team is hard.
It's so much money, For those of us that went to Houston, for those of us that want merchandise, I can't keep up with it all, man. But I'm going to. I'm absolutely going to.
I'm also I'm gonna wash this down with a Hail IPA right here from North Peak Brewing.
Love that.
I'm also gonna.
I love the energy you're bringing right now.
I'm also gonna wash it down with a Blue by 90 beer because why not? Some people, not everyone can, but some people can have it all. Some people can't have it all. You can have a Big Ten championship. You can beat Ohio State. You can have a Rose Bowl title, and then you can have a national title. So I'll have it all right now.
I mean,
I think
we
I
have
think
it
what
all.
I'm gonna do for our national championship merch that we put out is just a screenshot of Justin holding up his beer and his cigar with that on, and just put it on a t-shirt.
Can you Photoshop a third hand holding up the Hail IPA as well? Just all 3.
Oh, perfect.
And no one knows where the third.
If I can't, I know 2 guys that can.
We know some guys.
You know some guys.
There
you go. What a beauty. What a beauty.
That needs to be the thumbnail. Someone screenshot that, put it as a thumbnail for this on YouTube.
If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel,
Right, I need to
watch this on YouTube.
I need to put this out.
Oh, you can put it out. I can take a screen grab when I'm editing it.
Use your tongue.
That would make it even more of a badass move for him.
I agree. I mean, I don't think it hurts that
He's
bad.
probably
I've never
buzzing
done
hard
it.
after that.
All right, we're back. My place is gonna smell like a cigar for weeks. Oh goodness, I don't even care.
Oh my God, is Jack
God,
home or
that's
no?
good. Woo. Speaking of that,
No, the answer's no.
sorry, what did you say?
I said, is Jacqueline home or no?
She's not. There's a reason why I did that right now.
I was gonna
She's
say
not
she
home.
must not be home if you're doing that.
No,
now.
No.
Smart man.
Yeah, very, very. So I mean, let's talk about JJ's picture. Was that? I mean, mine is probably second to that. I would say my picture that you're gonna Photoshop. What a cool
1A,
picture.
1B.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Coldest
throw
picture of
Blake
all time.
Corum's shirt with a Carhartt tee tucked in a cowboy hat and the belt buckle. That might be up there as well. I think that, Justin, that may be, he came into the game, business as usual for him. and he just looked ready. And then he delivered with 100+ yards, 2 tutties. Like, that's just a cold picture with the cowboy hat as well. So, Will Johnson with the cowboy hat last night, the WWE belt was hard.
That was sweet.
Like,
it sure was.
Great.
It sure was. I mean, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. It's just incredible to be a part of this. I think, I got emotional on the last one beforehand, just going into the game. And I got really, really emotional during that game when we sealed it. But let's start at the beginning, just the vibes of the day. How about shout out Pretzel Bell as well? But how about us not even getting in, not being able to get into our own party at Pretzel Bell because the place was so packed. Like, we did way too good of a job to market Pretzel Bell this year that we couldn't even get into our own party. It was so
dude, it was funny. Like, Kalen and I were walking up, and I see Tanner just sitting there with Claudia at the top of the stairs. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, dude, they won't let us in. It's like, what do you mean? We're the ones that marketed this thing. They're not going to let us in here. It's like, yeah, we just did too good of a job. It was packed.
We eventually did sneak downstairs, but it was like you couldn't move, and it would not have been that fun to watch, truthfully. So we audibled. We checked out session room on Jackson, and it was not really the vibe. Like, I needed to get nasty, you know what I mean? And so we went to my apartment. Claudia, shout out Claudia, bunch of snacks, food. Some people had never had Rotel dip, I think, because they said it was the greatest thing they've ever had. I thought that was incredible. I thought that was a Midwestern staple, like just Velveeta, Rotel, and ground hamburger. Like, but it was great, and we had some champagne at the end of the night, and we'll talk about the celebration and stuff. But we couldn't get into Pretzel Bell, and so we had to pivot, and it was amazing. We were super loud, and I told my neighbors I'm sorry, but they understood.
It was funny. I was listening to our first podcast today, which is so long ago. First ever pod. Like, Tanner and Roe aren't even on it. Talk about how far we've come. Jack's banging on the table. We're talking about, like, can we beat Ohio State? Like, Tate Martell transferred. How good is this Justin Fields guy? Like, like, how far we've come, man. Like, this is so incredible.
Like, going into a national championship game and internally being like, I think Michigan can win by a couple scores here. And it was essentially the same exact game that they played Washington in 2 years ago, which is kind of crazy. They won by 21. Blake Corum iced it with a touchdown. It was just kind of absurd how that game really followed the same script as the 2021 Washington game. And, I know they played Western Michigan before that, but it was kind of surreal. Big Game Blues get debuted against Washington in 2021. And in 2024, Michigan was a natty and Big Game Blues. I mean, I mean, can you write a script like that? Like, it's surreal. And for me, like, I don't know about you guys, but like, it hasn't really hit me still. Like, I'm just jovial all the time, and I'm just saying "Go Blue" to the cashiers at the gas station randomly. Like,
it's sickening how much this affects my actual day-to-day emotions. Like, I am, and if obviously we would have lost, I would have been the most depressed person alive. But now it's just like, oh my, like, nothing can stop me at this point. I am impenetrable. I don't think is that a word?
That is a word. Yeah, that is a word.
I think it is. We'll let John confirm.
Unstoppable.
Did you guys? How did the weather end up? I know there was like tornado watches and craziness down there.
I was the most drenched I've ever been in that game, and it was an indoor game. We went from the bar to the first of all, the vibes in Houston. I was at the team hotel the entire weekend, and just being at the team hotel was insane. The night, like every night, the lobby is just packed, and people, I think I sent you guys some videos. People are just like everywhere, like chanting "Let's Go Blue," and it was like a Michigan game day bar every single night. It was awesome. And then we went on game day to a few different bars around the stadium. And I know we picked strategically some Michigan bars, but like it was like every single person in there was a Michigan fan. So it felt like until I got to the game, I was like, I haven't seen a Washington person all weekend. But on the way in, it is, I'm not joking, tornado monsoon, like raining as hard as possible. And we are just absolutely drenched, like shoes just soaked. And I still didn't care. We got in. I was the happiest man alive. And just the buzz of like, I've been to Michigan, Ohio State. There's a lot of buzz around that, right? I've been to the Big Ten Championship 3 times the last 3 years, actually. I don't know if you guys knew that, but there's a lot of buzz around that. I've now been to the Rose Bowl. There's a ton of buzz around the Rose Bowl, but the buzz in the national championship game is unmatched. It was ridiculous. And so just the energy of like, everyone was in their seats. So I got a stat from the ticketing department. 98% of tickets were scanned with an hour or a half hour plus to go before the game. Everybody's in the stadium like an hour or half hour before. And they're like going through starting lineups, and the clock says like 59 minutes till kickoff, and people are going crazy for every single guy. And then we're like booing every time they say Washington. It was like insane, just back and forth that far before the game. So the buzz was crazy when the team's coming out. I mean, it was something that I've never really experienced before, for sure. And I said that same thing about the Rose Bowl last week.
Michigan fans, we just, get new experiences every single day, it feels like.
We do. It's we're wealthy right now of enjoyment. We have a wealth of enjoyment. So it was amazing. How were you guys feeling going into the game? Like, I feel like it was a very different feeling from the Rose Bowl, where it's not Alabama, but we kept talking about it. Washington was very, very good all year long. They're 14-0. That offense is unbelievable, right? And we go in. Give me where you were at kickoff in your brain mentally.
Dude, I was like, I think when we talked about it, like after the Rose Bowl pod, for the pod, when did we record the pod before the Natty? Was it like the day before?
It was the day before, yeah.
I remember I wasn't really feeling like too bad about it. And then like you guys started talking and like gave your speeches, and I was like, fuck, I'm getting emotional and like anxious and nervous. And then once we got to Tanner's and I cracked that first beer and we're getting ready to turn on the game, I'm like, I'm fucking freaking out. I was like, I started getting nervous. I'm like, oh shit, it's actually happening. Michigan's going to the net. Like, we're playing in the national championship game. And I was just like nervous about like, all right, is Penix going to let us up? Is he not? And then Michigan scores on that first drive, and it was beautiful. And I felt great after that. Other than getting COVID, I felt great after that.
Yeah, I think for me going in, it was weird. I think I was more nervous going into the Rose Bowl than I was going into the national championship, which is weird. But there was I felt it all year long, man. Like at the Ohio State game, I was just calm. Like I just felt like these boys were going to go get it done. Like I never thought there was any doubt. There were moments where I clenched up a little bit. But leading into the game, man, I felt good. But I'm a pacer, so I'm walking around and I'm getting excited. And then like Jack said, Donovan's first touchdown, I was like, oh, like some of like Kalel's run, I'm like, oh yeah. These boys don't know what they're in for. Like this Michigan O-line is moving people. So I felt particularly really good after the first drive. And then there were some moments, and we'll talk about that, but there were some moments during the middle portion of the game where I was like, oh God. But yeah, I felt really, really good for that first part of the game. And, I knew they were going to take care of business.
Yeah, I was super confident all week. And then kind of like day of, I was like, oh shit, like this is really happening, right? Penix had diced up Texas so well. I was getting nervous. And then the game started, that first drive. And yeah, we were just like, it was like the the game against Alabama where we were just so physical at the line of scrimmage, but like ×2. I was like, holy crap, this could be a long night for them. And then Donovan pops off a run. I was like, big game Dono is back, baby. Let's go. So after that, honestly, I was feeling really good. They marched down the field and we held them to a field goal. So I was like, okay, this is our game plan. Like, I feel incredible right now. So that whole first quarter, I was just like on cloud 9.
So I agree. I mean, obviously we're buzzing. I'll say this on that first drive. So Mullings comes in after Blake, right? And Dono hasn't played yet. And I'm sitting there like, damn, is Dono just straight up not RB2 anymore? Like, we're going straight with Mullings. And Jacqueline, even my wife, she leaned over to me. She loves Michigan football, but she doesn't like know every player, right? I think that's pretty normal. But she goes, don't hate me for this, but like, who's number 20? Like, she obviously knows JJ and Blake and Donovan. She's like, who's number 20? Why is he at running back right now? I'm like, it's Kalel. He's awesome. He's like killed it. So I don't know if that means that he's like overtaken Dono. Like, he might be RB2. I feel bad for Dono right now. The next play, Donovan breaks the touchdown run. She's like, what are you talking about? There's Dono right there. So it was like, I mean, I felt so good for Dono on that, man. I feel like that was like a culmination of the previous 14 games just struggling, outside of the Penn State game. He really hadn't broken one like that. And I'll say this, the first one, it only took him a half hour to find the hole, but he found the hole. And I'm happy for him to find the hole. And it almost like worked out better that he like stayed inside and drew the safety in, and the safety was already clogged in the middle by the time. But once he hits that hole, he is gone. Like, gone. His 0 to 60 speed going forward is incredible.
Yeah, like, I was so ready to just yell something stupid as he ran directly into the back of Trevor Keegan and Darius Henderson. I had some words that were going to be said, and then he bounces and he's gone. And then the second touchdown, he's even better because he reads it, he cuts, and he's gone again. By the way, Washington was kind of slow defensively. Like, you hear a lot about SEC speed, and you think of the Pac-12 and those. Maybe it's that preconceived notion from the 2010s with like DeAnthony Thomas or Michael James, like the Oregon guys. You just USC, like you just think Pac-12 guys are pretty quick. Man, they were slow in that back end of that defense. Donovan took advantage of it.
That number 11 linebacker,
tough. That was a tough night.
I think I might be faster than him. On Donovan's second run, when Donovan's just sprinting by him, which the second run was a lot better, right? It was like, I felt like he hit the hole, like he saw it, cut, hit the hole. And the number 11's running after him, and like literally, like he runs 1 yard for every 5 that Donovan runs. There was no way they were catching him for sure. I missed Blake's run because I was in the bathroom, it was like you would literally like try to sprint to the bathroom and come back, and you missed something good for Michigan in that first quarter. It was like, oh my God.
I know you broke the seal early.
Well, very early. Very early. So that was tough.
That run, I thought, man, he almost broke that one. That one almost reminded me of the run he had against Washington 2 years ago, right? Where he cuts it, he beats a guy, and then he's off to the races. And CJ just couldn't get that last block, because I think if he does, he's able to just go towards the middle of the field and score. And then if he does, it's 21-3, and you're like, whoa, is this a repeat of last year, Georgia TCU? They've got to settle for 3. But that's when the defense just continued to play lights out, man. I can't say enough about Michigan's defense and Jesse Minter. And I mean, I was nervous the entire time, but I shouldn't have been, because Michigan scored the winning points on Donovan's second touchdown. I mean, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that is nuts. And I mean, holding that team to 13 points, correct? 13 is wild. And I mean, outside of 2 like deep balls that they had, they really got all of their plays on like either short crossing routes or screens or something like that. Like, I could kind of tell that it was that 2019 Ohio State offense that where like it felt like they ran a lot of those same plays, but they just couldn't execute on us like Ohio State did back in the day. And so it was yeah, man, this defense is absolutely incredible. Like I don't know if it's the greatest defense in college football history. It's possibly the greatest defense in Michigan football history, though. It's hard to say because like you look at it and you're like, all right, 2021 Georgia, unbelievable defense. They sent how many people? Like 14 people to the draft that year on an 11-person defense. Essentially, this team, I love it more because you don't have all those draft picks, and they're still just as good, if not better, right? And you beat four top 10 teams in the last 5 games of the year. That's after all the shit that went down. After everybody said that we're, nothing that we did mattered, and then you go and you beat 4 top 10 teams in the last 5 games. Like, come on, man. That's unbelievable.
Could you even say they beat 5 top 10 teams in the last 6 games?
I don't really want to throw Iowa into that category, but they did beat 5 ranked teams. They played a third of their schedule ended up being top 25 teams, and they played 4 top 13 teams in that stretch. 2 top 5 teams in Ohio State and Penn State were right there at 10 and 13, I think, when I looked at the poll a little bit ago.
All after their alleged sign stealer was gone.
I don't want to do that. It's just, go eat a bag of, I don't know, dill pickle flavored something, brother. Like, just like get the fuck out of here, man. Like I'm just so sick of hearing about it. I know you do. I'm just so sick of hearing about it, man. Like, how many people have tweeted me or posted on my Facebook like asterisks? I'm like, dude, I don't care at all. If you think this is,
couldn't care less.
If you think this is the worst cheating going on in college football, brother, I got some oceanfront property for you in Phoenix, Arizona. I can tell you that much. Like, just you're a moron. Like that's all there is to it.
You're damn right.
I mean, we all saw it, right? We all saw it. We all have the memory. So there's really nothing you can say.
I mean, it's similar. It's similar to the Louisville 2013 basketball thing, right? Which we were on the losing end of. I've never said we're national champions for that, right? Like maybe jokingly, right? But we all saw
other
that
than
game.
Trey Burke's block being clean.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. But outside of that, we watched that game. Louisville beat us, unfortunately, right? And so we went 15 and fucking 0. That's 0 losses, bro. That's perfection. Like I don't even have that many. I gotta go to my foot. I don't have that many hands. I gotta count on I have 2 hands and a whole ass foot for this season.
Cue up photoshopping Rose's foot on screen.
Yeah, I know.
That can be my third hand for my Hale IPA too. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like if you want to discount this, like get the first of all, get the fuck out. Second of all, I just don't care. I truly do not care what you say.
I'll add to that. Third of all, get good.
Get good. Get better.
Get good.
Don't
get a better team.
It's a fair argument.
Isn't that a Jim Harbaugh quote as well this year? Was don't get bitter, get better. Like he's literally said that.
I love his quote where he's just like, "We're innocent." Yes, Jim. I love it.
He said that in an interview with Reese Davis after the Natty, where he was like, he was asking him about the sign stealing, and he's like, you just don't get bitter. Get better. When Sarah's yelling at me, I go find something to do. I go out and work on the lawn.
He's a national treasure. Not Reese Davis, Jim Harbaugh, if anyone needed clarification there.
Reese, I loved Reese for a long time, but why I don't unless
Alabama grad, by the way.
Is he? I didn't even know that, but
I didn't know that.
I mean, so that makes sense too.
Nick
Saban, who retired today, we killed Nick Saban. R.I.P.
I have one thing to say about Nick Saban's retirement. I would not want to be a Tuscaloosa area sales guy at a Dodge dealership, brother. I could just tell you that much. Okay, so I may short Dodge's stock right now. I'm gonna tell you that much.
Oh my
Well,
god!
they discontinued the Charger, and now they.
Oh God,
Bama's program is over.
That's why Saban retired. He couldn't get out any more Hellcats.
I mean, we ended Bama's dynasty. So, all right, we're all over the place. It's fine. Go back to they score at going into halftime. I'm going to be honest. I puckered up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Keegan at the Rose Bowl said that he puckered up a little bit in that fourth quarter. I puckered up at halftime.
Yeah.
I was like, that is not what we want for them to get in a rhythm all of a sudden and get a ton of momentum going into halftime. So I was a bit worried.
Well, I've got to give credit to that Washington team too, right? Like after that first quarter, they adjusted on defense and made it very difficult for us. And they made adjustments on offense, right? And even towards the beginning of that second quarter, Penix just kind of missed a Dunze out on some blown coverage from us, right? Yep. So like they had some shots and some opportunities that they just couldn't capitalize on. But we beat the biggest dog, the other big dog, right? So I just want to make sure that's clear, right?
Well, so in that moment in the third quarter, when it's 20-13 Michigan and Michigan isn't doing a damn thing offensively, I want to just go quickly through the Washington drives where they had an opportunity to tie the game. So they kick a field goal to make it 20-13. Washington offense goes 5 plays, 11 yards, punt. 5 plays, 18 yards, punt. 3 plays, 1 yard, which I'm assuming that's the turnover. Or what? I don't know what that was. 3 plays, 1 yard. Oh, yeah, that's just a 3 and out. 3 plays, 1 yard, and then that's when Michigan goes after the big throw to Colston to then get Blake his first touchdown to go up 27-13. They had multiple drives, and Michigan's defense just put the clamps on them. I mean, that's an outstanding performance. When you're in a one-possession game like that with an offense that can score at will against everybody else in the country, except Michigan and Arizona State, like that's an unbelievable performance.
Arizona State.
We talked about that, by the way. Like we talked about that, right? We did talk about that. What Arizona State did is the same thing that Michigan did. You get pressure on him. You put offensive linemen in his lap, right? The pick to Will Johnson that we're going to talk about right now, Mason Graham bullies that guard and puts him, the center puts him right into the lap of Penix. That makes him make a bad throw. And, that helped Michigan, really, really kind of take advantage of that game.
Penix was hurting by the end of the day.
Oh, my God.
Hurting. I mean,
I can't believe they let him in or they kept him in for that long.
I'm hoping that they were like, hey, you got to come out. And he's like, no, I'm not coming out. I'm finishing this game. Like, I'm hoping that was the case instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
Because he is a warrior. I like that kid a lot, man. I think, if there were, other people, I would have been like, yeah, let's go end him. But I didn't want to, do that to him. But he's a warrior. Very good kid. I honestly, the reality is, though, our defense is so damn good and physical and dominant that, you literally, as a quarterback, can't make it through a game without coming out injured. Because there was no dirty play. It was just we hit him in the ribs so many times he couldn't stand up.
He got lit up multiple times. There were so many moments of pressure and QB hurries and QB hits that don't go down in the stat sheet as a sack, but that goes to show how important it is to get pressure on the quarterback, to disrupt his rhythm, to mess up his internal clock of when he knows he has to get rid of the ball. And I think you saw a lot of misses from him that he just didn't have throughout the rest of the year, right? He was lighting Texas up. I don't think Texas was able to generate nearly the amount of pressure that Michigan did. So, you may not get all the sacks, right? But if you can get those QB hurries, those QB hits, and those pressures, force them out of the pocket, that's going to disrupt his flow. And that's what Michigan did. They had 1 sack, but they were dominant.
Well, now that you bring up Texas, it cracks me up because Texas literally beat Alabama, right? They were atop the college football world nearly all year. They're in that, top 6 all year long, right? And then they get dominated by Washington, right? Who is incredible. That offense, again, they were. What did he throw for? I mean, he threw for over 400, right?
450 or something crazy like that
against Texas, and we hold them to 13 points, and then it's like, oh, Washington wasn't that good. It's like, okay, well, I mean, I just don't get it. Like, I don't even want to give him props, but Brandon Walker's like, yeah, you beat a shitty Washington team, and I got to give my boy Prez props of like, Prez is like, oh, you mean the 14-0 Washington Huskies that beat everybody else along the way and got to that spot? Like, what do you mean? And if you haven't watched the rundown from yesterday with President Walker and Big Fat Ev, just incredible content. Content. I mean, there is nobody better. Listen, I get Portnoy. He, controversial. I don't always agree with everything he says. He's very funny. There's not one person in the world that's better at being the asshole, winner, arrogant guy that'll shove it in your face than he is.
He's got a lot of practice at it too, being a Boston guy. So I'm glad he finally was able to do that with Michigan winning a title, because it was rough there, obviously, as you talk about your first show. Like,
the best part of that one was Ev sitting there and being like, we can't say anything. I don't, he's literally just like, it doesn't matter. Whatever he says, whatever you want to say to the Michigan fan base, it doesn't matter, because they can just say, oh, that we won. The Brandon said, he brought up something. He's like, it's your first national title since 1948 or whatever, undisputed or whatever they want to say, right? National title. And he's like, oh, you mean other than the one that we won yesterday? Literally yesterday? We won that one yesterday. I don't know if you remember.
Which, by the way, I love coming from a Mississippi State fan who finally got their school's first ever national championship in baseball last year or in 2022. So, he loves to pile on teams that have success, and he's really good at what he does, though. Like, he's like an actor in a movie that plays the villain. You're like, God, I hate that guy, but he's so good at it. So,
sure.
I can't take it. You can't take it too seriously, but I do love his preseason takes on JJ McCarthy versus Drew Aller. That's been fun to revisit.
I mean, let's talk about JJ McCarthy for a second. Now that you bring it up, I thought that Chris Castellani actually put it best, which was, you can look at JJ's stats, especially in the latter part of this year, and you can say, all right, he's not been the guy that drove Michigan to the national championship, right? Like, he wasn't putting up the stats. They weren't throwing for 350 yards a game. He wasn't throwing for a ton of touchdowns. But if you think that he does not do more beyond the stat sheet than anybody else out there, then you're fucking crazy. Like, how can you not see that? Like, he is a leader of young men, and he does so much more than throw the ball. And they're in an offense where it's not meant for a good quarterback. It's meant for a game manager. You know what I mean? If you put JJ in Washington's offense, he throws for the exact same yards, if not more, right? Like, he is incredible, so talented, but he puts himself last. He puts his teammates first, and every single guy in that room would kill for that guy. They'd run through a brick wall, and that's the reason that they won. It's because they have that guy and Blake and a lot of other guys, Mikey Sanderson, you could go down the list. I could name 20 names, but I think a lot of it starts with JJ simply because he's the quarterback. And when you have a quarterback that has that culture, has that mindset, that's how you build a group of men that will lead you to a championship.
Yeah, well, on that point, something I talked about recently with somebody that I wanted to share is during the 2021 season. I'm sure you guys all remember this. Jim Harbaugh at a press conference mentioned that when they got back from their game against Wisconsin, I don't know exactly what time they would have gotten back. It probably would have been sometime in the evening. But when they got back, Jim said he was unpacking stuff into his office after the road trip, and that he saw JJ McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, and Andrew Anthony going to get more practice in the Glick Fieldhouse and just get some reps in. Right. And Andrell's not here. I wish he would have been. I know he congratulated his teammates on Twitter. I'm sure he was fired up for them. But I think that just shows the culture that he's helped build along with guys like Blake and Mikey and all the guys that have come before as well. Like, this has gone from, kind of a mess, right? Like, yeah, Michigan's winning 10 games, but they're not beating their rivals. They're not winning the big games, to now with the player-led culture that Michigan has, to winning 40 of their last 43 games, winning 3 Big Ten championships, winning the Rose Bowl, and now winning the national championship. It goes back to the players, right? Blake Corum is your best player. He's your hardest worker, by the way. Yep. And it's the same for a lot of guys. They're all on that same plane of being elite football players, being great leaders, and they bust their ass every single day to get to this point. And that's what I think really changed for this program over the last 3 years. Not whatever bullshit people like Pete Thamel want to spew, but the culture and just the locker room for this team. There's a lot of guys that were not great for the locker room in the early Harbaugh era. And so it's completely changed. And a lot of that is due to JJ McCarthy, which you don't see on the stat sheet. You're not going to see because it's an intangible, but it's real.
Yeah.
Right. And you also got to say that some guys share that those same traits, and that led to that, right? Guys like Aiden Hutchinson or
absolutely
some of those kinds of guys as well.
Well, and I think this national championship is for Aiden Hutchinson. It's for those guys that built it but didn't quite get there because they weren't there physically yet. This one's for them, right? I think I sat and talked with a former Michigan football player at the airport that I'm good friends with yesterday, and that's what he said. He said he was in the locker room after that game with some guys, hugged some former players, and what they said was it was all worth it. All the shit that they went through, even when they lost in 2016 to Ohio State, when it didn't go their way in 2018, when they're struggling in 2017 and 19, and when 2020 came around, like, it was all worth it. All those people are a part of this along the way, right? Like, even though these are the guys that get the ring, those guys set it up, right? And I think that was a pretty cool thing to hear, to say this was bigger than this team this season. It's Michigan football as a whole. It's the Michigan fan base as a whole, where, like, this means a lot to us, right? Like, I know it sounds stupid, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, why do you care so much about these 20-year-olds playing football? But, like, it's something that brings us together. We wouldn't talk all the time if it wasn't for Michigan football. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't see a lot of the people that I don't see if you followers didn't come to the tailgate each week. I've met incredible people on Twitter and all that stuff, and it just, like, it's a sense of community, and it's really cool to be a part of that. And so, I think I go back to what you were talking about, Kate or Tanner, of Aiden kind of started this run by him being that player that led this group. The best part was the reason for the success, in my opinion. You had Aiden Hutchinson as the senior. He's the senior leader that's going to get the whole group going. But then you had JJ Dono and Andrell as the freshmen of that. And you had it bookended. And so everybody in between was on board because of that. And you had to get JJ and Donovan and those guys on board to be, all right, we're going to bring it up from the rear as well. And then obviously Blake Corum and Mikey Sainristil and all these guys that stuck through it. You think about Mikey Sainristil, he's had 3 different numbers on this team in this program. Switched positions. Mike Barrett, he's got recruited here for a position that doesn't even exist anymore. Kalel Mullings switched sides. Like Joel Huntingford, I love that man still. Saw him in the concourse at the Natty, and I was like, all right, we're winning. There's no doubt. That's fate. Saw Brad Robbins in the team hotel lobby afterwards. And Like this was for those guys, that couldn't quite get that natty, but this was for those guys, man. And it's a very special moment for us as a fan base, especially after everything we've been through.
Yeah, I like the note on Mikey too, because when he came in as a receiver, and when he was in as a receiver, he was one of the better receivers on the team. And then he switches positions to play DB, and then he's one of the best DBs in the country. He's like our little Deion Sanders, a little tiny Deion Sanders over there. He can play on both sides of the ball.
He's one of the greatest to ever do it for Michigan. There's no doubt about that. It's hard to explain Mikey at this point, really.
He's just a good living legend. Yeah, I mean, by the way, go check out. He's on Twitch, bro. Go check out his Twitch streams. He's always playing Call of Duty. I pop in there. I just put it all caps Mikey, and then I go back to work. Just love showing support to the guys.
And check out his videos, his vlogs.
Yeah, and Romans, like all these guys creating content. It's fun to watch as a Michigan fan, especially when you're in the middle of a 15-0 season.
He told me today. He said he thinks that the Rose Bowl one's coming out tomorrow. And then his squad is working on the natty one right now to get up. So
I love that he has a squad working on video editing. That's so 2024 college football. So real quick, want to make a note on Michael Barrett. Michael Barrett committed almost 6 years ago on January 23rd, 2018. Coming off of an 8-5, really disappointing Michigan season. And so he was there in 18 and 19 for the 2 blowout losses to Ohio State. And just so happy for that kid who he threw the pass to Dax Hill against Army on a fake punt in 2019. Like, a lot of rival fans like to shit on Michigan because they got guys that are in their 5th or 6th year. Hey, man, COVID happened. They get an extra year. It is what it is. College football has always had a lot of 5th-year seniors that work their way up and make a big impact on a game and on a season for teams. But for a guy like Michael Barrett to just be a jack of all trades and find his niche at linebacker, he's a draftable NFL prospect now, by the way. He is one of the best leaders on this team. He's been one of my favorite players. I remember I'm pretty sure his dad was at a Blue by 90 tailgate last year before like the Hawaii game. Yeah. And I hadn't really kind of been ingratiated to the group yet, but I just remember being like, I can't imagine that's not his dad wearing a Michael Barrett jersey. Like that would be a very random jersey to have. And I just remember thinking like, I didn't say anything to him, but I just be like, hey, like I'm a big fan of your son because he's a football player, man. And he does whatever he's asked to do. And he's a great leader. And he is part of the reason that Michigan is national champs. And I'm just so happy for a guy like that. And same with Mike Sainristil. Mike Sainristil was a Virginia Tech commit that I remember personally. I was like, all right. Like I followed recruiting very closely back then. I was like, okay, cool. That dude's a stud. Michigan legend. Number 0 is a legendary number now because of Mike Sainristil. So if you're going to wear a 0, you better live up to the expectation. And he's a guy who, let's talk about it, cemented his legacy with maybe the biggest play in my lifetime as a Michigan fan and almost housed it. If Braden McGregor blew that dude up, if he would have just if he could have seen the guy coming behind him or try to make something on it, he would have scored. But man, one of the best plays, like we all just stood. I didn't even watch. I was just like, oh my God, we're going to win the national fucking championship.
Man, Mike Barrett, like at any other school, that guy would have transferred, right? After like those.
And he could have, and nobody would have batted an eye. No, everyone would have been like, yeah, you know what? It's probably the right move.
Right. And it's just so Michigan, right? Those who stay, right? And so he stayed. He's a Michigan man, and he walks away a national champion. Like it's just poetic at that point.
It absolutely is. And yeah, I mean, has the phrase "those who stay" ever like rung more true than right now? Those who stay will be champions. Like we had those guys that stayed, and they were champions. They are now champions. Mikey's pick. Has there ever been a moment that was more destined than that right there? Like that is like, I don't know what. I don't know if there's a God out there. I don't know. We'll find out when we meet him, when we, whatever religion you live, that right there was like, there's something. There is something, man. And I don't know, I think he prays to God, and it's just like, man, that was very emotional. And I'm sure you guys saw it. I posted our video of my little crew where we were going ballistic. That moment inside the stadium was insane. Insane. I mean, we were going nuts for every touchdown, of course, but like that was, I'm sure every person, every Michigan fan whether they're at the stadium, at the bar, in their living room with their kids, it was a moment that I'll never forget for sure. And I'm so glad it was him that got the pick. How did he not score? He should have scored. I mean, you got to score.
Can we really quickly
how did he not
shout
score?
out?
If it would have been me, I would have scored. Beautiful touchdown.
All right, we got Shane Gillis on the pod now. Real quick, I think it was number 37 for Washington. I mean, dude, like, I want to give that kid props. Like, your season's over, your game's over, and he busts his ass down the field to make a stop at the same. I mean, it ends up not mattering, but like, that's a kid. I have no idea anything about this guy, but that's a dude who I know is going to be successful. Like, I just wanted to shout that. Like, that's such a.
He also dominated us on offense a lot, actually.
Yeah,
like he slipped out a lot.
Yeah, he was a really solid. I don't know if he was an H-back, tight end, whatever he was. Maybe receiver. I don't want to discriminate, but just the effort. I think so. I think
he's like a tight end H-back type of guy. Like,
dude, yeah, he's like if Max Bredesen got the ball.
He went out, caught a pass, and then he head faked somebody.
Yeah,
and I was like, that guy's an athlete. Holy shit!
I think literally, if he wore like number, I don't know. If he wore number 1, we'd be like, holy shit, he's the most athletic guy ever. But when you wear number 37, you can't possibly. And if you're 37 and you're white, there's no chance that you can be athletic. You know,
you used to see that guy's on special teams
blocking. Literally, you can't even expect a white guy wearing number 37. He head faked somebody. Oh my god!
It was the most insane thing. I thought all he could do was chop block, and then he was doing that.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, that was a hell of a run. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't get much better than that, man. It does not get much better than that.
I have a counterpoint. You could have found out after your rival won the national championship 2 minutes later that you got a running back commit in the portal.
That's true.
How about Ryan Day being like, hey, post this after Michigan goes 15-0? Like, did he think that was going to be a good idea? Like, I don't know why anybody thought that was a good idea. Like, run that through a marketing team first.
I mean, and they said like boom, like they just won. Like they just they just dunked on us.
Have yet to post the final score from the Michigan game.
Post it, coward.
That one, it must be something. It must be like a software error. It's like still in the drafts. I've had that a couple times where it's like comes up. You already tweeted that or something. It must be like a bug.
Well, they had tweeted it 2 years prior, but
true. So
different scores. So maybe that's not why. I don't know. So we get Elon on the phone.
Maybe they're just soft. Maybe they're soft.
That's a good point.
Will Spartans and Buckeyes ever accept that Michigan is national champions and was the best program in the country by far this year?
I think in total, maybe 12 of them combined. I think that's probably set the over under at 11.5.
Okay. 11.5. I like that line.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll ever accept it. I don't think they will.
I think if the basketball team makes it to a Final Four, they'll accept it and they'll be like, "Oh, well, we're a basketball school, and we can accept that you have football and you still suck at basketball." That'd be the only way.
I think they hate us so
back
much,
to normal.
They'll just never admit it.
I can't wait for the day that the notice. Well, I don't know if it's a notice of allegations or whenever the penalty drops or whatever, and it's something super minor, and I can't wait because how many people have been talking about vacated and asterisks? Get the fuck out of here, bro! You're a loser, grade A loser. If you think this is the cheating that propels you to a national championship, you don't like college football enough. Like, you don't know enough about college football if you think this is the cheating that wins you
Simply, you don't know ball.
Clearly. Can we talk about our like post game stuff? Because I wanted to share what I did. I want to hear what you guys did, like to celebrate. Like, I'd love to know how it was in Houston. Like, I really want to get into that because I think that's a really fun part of this whole thing is the like celebration. Like, we went downtown Ann Arbor. Like, it was fucking nuts.
Go for it. I didn't know you guys even did that.
It was me, it was Nolan, it was AD. The most random crew possible, bro.
AD. I fucking love AD.
He is one of the funniest dudes.
His thing is like A_M_D, right? Or something?
Yeah, like _16, I think. Yeah, he is the homie. I don't actually know his full name. I just know him as AD. And but so we invited him to Pretzel Bell, bro.
Real quick, that's the best part of Twitter right there. Just like that's the best part of being a Michigan fan and being part of Michigan Twitter is there are people that we don't know, not even just their last name. We don't even know their first name. But I bet you hugged him 100 times on
100%. I know his first name. I'm not gonna like dox him or anything. I know his first name. I don't know his like full name or whatever. But so we invited him to Pretzel Bell. I did on Twitter. I was like, yo, come to P Bell. You know, he lives in Toledo, so it was a drive. And so he came up and I was like, yo, like we're not gonna be able to go to Pretzel Bell. And so I was like, yo, just come to my apartment. He came through. I had a great time with him in Indy. So I was like, yeah, dude, come through, hang out. And so after we win, we had some bottles of champagne that we popped open. That was fun. I got it all over my hockey jersey, my jacket, and I got to take the jacket to the dry cleaners. It's all good. So we're like, yo, let's go. Like there was probably like, I don't know, at that point, like 8 people. BJ bounced. So it was just us 3. So we went downtown. We just parked at the library parking lot and just were walking. And it was just honking, people out of their windows screaming "Go Blue!" Like just mobs of people. Like we didn't even get to the crazy part of like the videos on Twitter. I was like, I don't need that. I just want to be around Michigan fans. We went to Alley Bar, had a couple shots, just celebrating, enjoying it. And then we're like, yo, let's walk to the stadium. So we just walked to the big house and it was like 2 a.m. and I'm just looking at the Block M just like glowing in just the silent of the night. And it was extremely surreal. Like it was, and we were the only people there. Like I was surprised more people didn't like, I don't know, go to the big house at 2 a.m. But we just won the Natty, you know. Like I expected at least some other person there. So yeah, that's what we did. It was unbelievable. I tweeted out the picture of the big house at night. Somebody's like, some MSU fan was like, "Oh, the library's still silent." And I'm like, "You're a fucking dweeb, bro. Like, you're up at 2 a.m. tweeting me." Like all the people that were tweeting me after Michigan won the Natty, I was like, bro, you stayed up to watch Michigan win, and now you're just sitting at home tweeting. Watching. Yeah, appreciate the viewership.
How about Columbus being the 3rd biggest city to watch the game, the 3rd most watched city? I mean,
behind Detroit and Seattle area, which is like even funnier. The 2 teams involved, and then the next highest rating is Columbus, Ohio.
Unreal. That is so good. So good. Especially when you put it against Atlanta, which I don't know this for a fact, but I believe the population of Atlanta has got to be like double the size of Columbus, right?
Oh, yeah. Atlanta's like one of the, I think, top 5 biggest cities in the country, if not like right around there. Yeah, that is hysterical to me.
That made it all worth it right there. Made it all worth it.
I hope they enjoyed the game.
I hope they did too. I hope, hate watching is real, baby. Hate watching.
I do it. I do it all the time. Yeah, like 100%. 2020 Alabama Ohio State. I'm watching Ohio State get smoked. I loved it. The last time Michigan and Ohio State have played in the national championship have gone differently. But yeah, they got to enjoy a great team, the best team in college football, one last time this year.
Yeah. So for me. I mean, the vibes, we sat there forever just watching the celebration. I never wanted to leave. It was a huge cheer every time somebody like new got the trophy and something happened. The Jack Harbaugh, who's got it better than us, the nobody. Jim did the nobody. Jim did that last week at the Rose Bowl, and I was like, that was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Then Jack does it here, and I was like, okay, that was the loudest thing I've ever heard. And I'm so like so awesome that he passes that off to his dad. I mean, that is so cool. The video of him greeting his mom and dad after the game as well, just so good, so good. Yeah, we were
on the sideline too.
John on the sideline as well. That is great.
When Jack Harbaugh did the Who's Got It Better Than Us, I don't know if you knew this, but on the broadcast, the microphone was like cutting out because he was yelling so loud.
The mic cut out in the stadium as well. Yeah, it cut out because he was just screaming.
I loved it.
And then, so we try to get on the tram to go back to the hotel, and it was packed, like just absurd. So, but it was fine because you're just literally like screaming, "It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine" for the entire ride. It's like a 45-minute ride, and every 3 minutes somebody starts it up again. So it's so much fun. So we get back to the team hotel. I can't explain how busy the lobby in the first floor of the team hotel is. It is insane. We go up. There's like they have little like bar carts that they're just selling beer from. I go and me and Zach go separately, and I'm like, you go to this bar, I'll go to this bar. We'll try and get in line to see who gets there first. We both get to the front at the exact same time. I order 6 beers. He orders 12 beers. There's only 4 of us. So all of a sudden we have 20 beers with us. And we're like, what do we do now? And just start chugging. We brought him up to the room. There was like a 30-minute wait just for the elevator. And I finally make it into the elevator. And it's me, JJ's mom, JJ's girlfriend, JJ's agent. And I'm just hugging them, saying how proud I am of them. I'm like, guys, congratulations. And they're just like, we didn't do anything. They did it all. I was like, I don't care. Congratulations.
Were you still holding the 20 beers?
I'm still holding the 20 beers. Tough look. But you know, nobody cared. There was no rule. Sat in the room for a bit. Went to the like team party after and gave Max Bredesen the biggest hug I've ever given anybody in my life. Same with Peyton, same with Davis, Jack Tuttle, just you could go down the list. I think I hugged literally everybody. They're just bumping music in this fourth floor ballroom, and everyone's just like dancing, like Cupid shuffle. It was like a wedding, like Cupid shuffle. Like the whole place is just going nuts. It was awesome, and then went to somebody's room and kept drinking until the game turned back on ESPN and just started watching the whole replay and continuing drinking and didn't go to bed till 5 a.m. So, yeah, it was incredible. And I yesterday felt worse than I've ever felt in my entire life and had like a full day of travel and delayed planes. And I still nothing could break the smile on my face. It was still incredible.
I think the best part of hearing this is like for the people, like obviously the listeners, you know, they know how much you like love Michigan football and like care about it. And like people that see us on the tailgate, I am so happy for you as a friend and as a Michigan fan, because I know that second to your wedding day
we're legally obligated to save
your life. Yeah. Was the absolute best day of your life.
It was incredible. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I had a lot of people saying that, and it's a little concerning hearing that so much. You know, when you hear it like more than one day. All right, maybe I'm a bit too much, but you know what? In the moment, I didn't give a shit. Partied with Swanky, my guy Swanky.
I love that man.
Love that man. Was with him. He gets in everywhere now too because he's just like a celeb.
Oh, he's a celebrity.
So the best part is nobody really knows who he is. So
that's
like we'll bring him around, and then I like whisper in people's ears like, "That's Swanky, that's Swanky." And they're like, "Oh my God, Swanky!"
That's the funniest part. Is like when I met him at in Indy for the first time. He's like, "Jack, what's going on?" I'm like, I'm like, hey, like I thought it was just a guy that like I met at the tailgate before, and he's like, it's Swanky, and I was like, oh shit, what's up, Swanky?
Dude, I have that. I'm sure you guys do too. But like when we do these tailgates, and they're like, just come up and they're like, yo, what's up, Tanner? Good to see you. And I'm like, for sure, buddy. It's great to see you, my guy. Like I'm so bad with that. So it's it's more understandable when Swanky is very anonymous. You know.
Well, you're the guy from Bleacher Report.
You are.
Dude, I just wish I could have been with everybody last night. Like your folks. Like that's the one thing I'm missing out on. Like not even just going to the game, but just celebrating with everybody. Like just seeing your dad just get after it. Like I needed that.
My dad. So it was really special. It was really special to be able to live that with my dad. He was like a 5-year-old that just went to the candy store. Like he was giddy. It was so funny because he's gonna listen to this as well. And there were like times where we're like going through the lobby just throughout like the weekend. You know, the guys are all like the players are all there, and humble brag, but I know a lot of them. So I'm like dapping up like Colston Loveland and Mason Graham, and then we walk away, and he's like, "Who's that?" I was like, "That's Colston and Mason." He's like, "Colston, what? He's like freaking out. He's like, holy shit. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, he's 20.
Well, I wish you could have had Tanner awesome. There too. Just so that him and Trevor Keegan could come face to face, and then like the world implodes or something.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Maybe get some eye black. You know, maybe we'll copy the eye black. Has he always done like the Joker thing? Is that new? I know he does the eye stuff, like around the eye, but I saw he had it like on his like it looked like the Joker with the eye black on his face.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I'll forever remember like going. I mean, I went to what games did I not go to? I'm trying to think. Like the only away games I didn't go to was Nebraska, Penn State. We went to MSU.
Maryland?
Where else?
At home or what?
MSU was at home or away. I mean, I didn't go to Minnesota. I didn't go to Maryland for the 1000th win. So going to, let's do some math here. There's so many games. It's a number keeps getting up there.
Let's say 10.
I would say 10 or 11 of the 15 games of the national.
I went to 9. I didn't go to either playoff game, so I would assume you went to 11.
11, okay.
Because you didn't go to the Purdue game just like me as well.
True. Yeah, so 11 of 15, and you put in the Big Ten championship game, you put in the Rose Bowl and the national championship game in there. Pretty special. I'll remember that for the rest of my life for sure. And yeah, man, I don't know what gets better than this. Who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
Not to be a downer again here, guys, but it is really only downhill from here.
Unless
you go back to back.
Perhaps.
It could happen.
You know,
I'm trying not to think about next year, but there's a lot to be excited about next year, no matter what happens. Like a lot of guys that are sophomores. Mm-hmm. So, you know, who's to say? Truly,
who's to say? Who knows? You know, you never know. So, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I would say unless.
Hey, things are happening behind the scenes. Good things. Not that I know anything, but I know got an email sent out about some of the fundraising efforts. So like it's exciting, man. Like, you know, starting to turn the wheels a little bit here. Things are moving. So
Saturday there's a parade.
Yes.
All of the proceeds are going to Champion Circle. Going for NIL. So yeah, I mean there's I think there's a lot to be excited about still. I've got my new towel up here. It says "Go Blue."
It's beautiful.
You can see that. It says an M, and then the bottom says National Championship.
Did they just do that? Did that happen?
So if I remember it correctly, they just the other day won the national championship.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't recall.
Yeah. So
Okay. When did that happen? Yeah,
it is.
I would say good pointing work as well. You've got a future in
that was impressive.
weather forecasting.
Yeah.
It's tough when you've got it flipped
Backwards?
to the camera. Yeah, that's not easy.
Yeah, it was tough there.
Man of many talents.
I can do it all. So
this is my favorite podcast we've ever recorded, by the way. I just want to throw that out there.
This is the what?
This is my favorite podcast we've ever recorded. We've had some good ones. And yeah, man, I just want to say thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody that has listened or commented, even the ones that call our podcast a snooze fest. Appreciate you listening no matter what. This season was unbelievable. Like I didn't think there was any way to top last season. Moving to Ann Arbor in 2022, I'm from Michigan, but had spent some time away from the great state of Michigan. My wife's job took us back to Ann Arbor, get to live in Ann Arbor for the first time. And, kind of moved here, knew a lot of people through Twitter, to your guys' point earlier, but like really been ingratiated into this friend group, which has been amazing. Like I know my wife's very happy because we were just kind of like, hey, we don't really know anybody. And I'm very outgoing. I need to be around people. I need to bounce things off other people. So last season was awesome. And this season topped it, man. Like 15-0, natty. Like I was at the TCU game last year, just devastated. And, it was all worth it. Like every moment over the last I've been a Michigan fan since birth, but my true first memory was 2003 Ohio State, which was kind of a rough one to come into. Like Michigan won, and I was like, oh, this just happens. No. So all the crap, all the beatings, everything over the last 20 years to come to this moment as a 28-year-old, pretty well functioning member of society. Like it's so damn worth it. And just wanted to say thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody that listens, interacts, like appreciate it. Keep viewing my tweets so I can get paid from Twitter. Like I appreciate that too. And I'm looking forward to a great 2024, man. So this is a hell of a way to start the year.
Well said.
Sure is. Well, very well said. I mean, I'm with you, man. It's I got emotional in that Rose Bowl pod, in that pregame national championship pod. But it really does mean the world to me. It means the world to us, to everyone listening and being supportive. This is truly a dream. It's a dream to be able to be a part of it. And yeah, man, it's something that it doesn't come about every year, every 5 years, every 10 years, every 30 years. So soak it in. You never know when it'll come about again. So. Enjoy it, and let's hope we can run it back here.
I have one more thing to say, Justin, real quick. Go to thosewhostayufm.com. Donate all of your money, please.
All of it. All of your money. All of your money. We need JJ back.
Oh, Lord.
We need JJ back. Bad.
One more year fund, JJ McCarthy?
This is the 1 more year fund.
This is that? Perfect. All right, cool. Cool.
Dumping my brokerage in there now.
Yeah,
transfer the IRA in there, Caitlin. Come on.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll come at you soon here. Probably have some content on Saturday at the parade and everything. So looking excited. Looking forward to it. There we go. Looking forward to it. I think we just instead of usually we take a lot of time off in the off season. I think we just have a weekly pod where we just talk about how awesome it was to win the national championship every single week until football's back.
I'm down. There's no other sports to talk about at the moment, right?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I.
Baseball starting soon. Michigan hockey, baseball starting soon. Softball.
Yeah. Wrestling. We're going to the wrestling duel on Sunday at Chrysler. So my wife and I are going to go to that.
Gymnastics, I think, is top 10 in the country.
Yeah. Water polo.
Women's basketball, I think, is doing well.
Women's basketball, yeah.
Yeah, there's winter sports. Yeah.
I can't really think of much more. So
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
No.
All right. Well, for us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 Podcast on YouTube, and BlueBy90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Go Blue. 15-0.
15-0, bitches.